Well, here we are, World Series game number one, just about 30 minutes away. The Yankees and the Dodgers. Obviously, I'm upset it's not the Mets, but it is a great series. I mean, it's two powerhouse teams, two great lineups. You got the Yankees starting pitching against the bullpen of the Dodgers, which is going to be better, which is going to be more important in this series. You got the great lineups. You got future Hall of Famers. You got the MVPs from both leagues for this year in the World Series. It's the first time ever that both teams in the World Series have 50 home run hitters playing in the World Series. And, you know, it's going to be a great series. I think the Dodgers are a better team. I think their lineup is relentless, especially after watching them play the Mets for the last, week or so. I just think, and I know the Yankees are good, and I know people are going to think I'm picking the Dodgers because, of my feelings towards the Yankees. But, I'll get to my pick in a minute. We're going to just do a quick couple minutes here, get you ready for first pitch of the Game 1 of the World Series. There's a lot going on. Game 1 of the World Series, you have all the pomp and circumstance with the players being announced, and they're doing a Fernando Valenzuela tribute. The Fox is doing a Vince Scully tribute. So it's going to be, there's a lot going on. There's, everything goes on. I'm not sure who's singing the national anthem tonight. That's one thing that I didn't look up, so I'm not positive who's singing the national anthem. But we do have the lineup, so let's get the lineups, and we'll get you set here for a first pitch. The Dodgers. First, we'll go with the Dodgers lineup. Dodgers got Ohtani leading off, and it's interesting that they lead him off, and I like it because you get him as many bats as possible. Every time the leadoff man's going to get the most at bats, and he's your best hitter. He's the best hitter in the league. Give him the most at bats, and then you got Mookie Betts, Mookie Betts is so good. He played so well. He hit the ball so well against the Mets, and then Freddie Freeman. One of the questions is how's Freddie Freeman going to be? Is he healthy? Is he 100% healthy? It seems to be, from what I hear and from what I understand, is that he is healthy. That the break kind of helped him out. He's good, ready to go. He's in the lineup. Then you got Teoscar Hernandez. Then you got Muncy. Then you got Kiki Hernandez, Smith, Lux, and Edman, who was the NLCS MVP, hitting ninth. So that's it's as good a lineup as you could be. And then you got Flaherty on the mound going for game one. We'll get to the pitchers in just a second. As far as the Yankees lineup goes, let me just bring the Yankees lineup here for you. The Yankees lineup is not too shabby itself. Gleyber Torres leads off. Juan Soto second. Judge, then Stanton hitting cleanup. And Stanton's an interesting case here because he's not very good during the regular season. He's injured all the time. The fans seem to be running him off the team half the time during the regular season. But he's one of those players that when October hits, he just shines. He comes up with big home runs and big hits, and he just knows how to do it. And he plays well in October. And for the Yankees, that's something that they always look for. Then you got Chisholm, Rizzo hitting fifth, Volpe, the shortstop, hitting sixth, Austin Wells behind the plate hitting seventh. Wells was in the cleanup spot for most of these playoffs, and he was dropped in the lineup, and it kind of, I think it took the pressure off him, and he started hitting a little bit better. Verdugo hitting ninth, and Garrett Cole on the mound. The Yankees gave Garrett Cole $300 million, and they gave him $300 million for tonight, basically, to pitch in game one of a World Series. And the Yankees have the edge in starting pitching. Clearly, they have the edge in starting pitching, but they don't have the edge in the bullpen. We'll see how many, if the Dodgers choose to go with one or two of the bullpen games. I'm not a fan of bullpen games. I've said that many times that I'm not a fan of the bullpen games. I think you try to get into a team's bullpen, and I know the Dodgers don't have the best starting staff, but I don't like it. I feel like too much could go wrong. There's too many moving pieces in a bullpen game, and listen, it's worked 2 out of 3 times for the Dodgers in this postseason. It worked once against the Mets. It didn't work once against the Mets, so it was 1-1 with the Mets, and it worked against the Padres in the division series. They got a win, an 8-0 win on a bullpen game. So a lot going on there. Some you see on the bottom line here, we got the ticker going. It's got some facts and stuff about the World Series and everything like that. The Yankees, there's been 120 World Series. This will be the 120th World Series. Either the Yankees or Dodgers have played in 63 of them. So people want to know why it's so hyped up, and it's because that these two teams are in a lot of the World Series. This is the most common matchup in a World Series in history. They played a bunch of times. They haven't played since 81. Of course, they haven't played since 81 where the Dodgers won. But going back to the Brooklyn Dodgers and in the 30s and the 40s, it was the Yankees and the Dodgers. They played in a ton of these World Series. 63 out of the 120 have been, Yankees or Dodgers in them. Yankees are going for their 28th World Series, which of course is ridiculous, and the Dodgers are going for their 8th World Series championship. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a good game. They have the 3-2-3. I'm sorry, the 2-3-2 format. So 2 games at Dodger Stadium, then to New York for 3 at Yankee Stadium, and then back for 6 and 7 if necessary on next week sometime. So I'm not a fan of the 2-3-2. I think, and I was reading up today, it was actually very interesting to find that a lot of people think that it favors the road team, the Yankees in this situation. I think it favors the home team more. And I don't think it's very fair because I feel like if you're the Yankees in this situation, or if you were the Mets last in the NLCS, if you don't take one of these first 2 games, if the Yankees don't win, if they lose games 1 and 2, I feel like they have to sweep the 3 at home. And if you watch baseball, it's not easy to sweep a 3-game series, regardless of who you're playing, whether it be the Marlins, and with the exception of the White Sox, I guess, but whether it be the Marlins or a bad team, it's hard to sweep. You win the first 2, and then they lose the 3rd game. So many times, countless times that happens. It's not easy to win 3 games in a row. And I think if you don't steal one of these first 2, and you have to win the 3 in a row, because it's tough. It's asking a lot for any team to go back into the building of a team that has won more games over the regular season and win games 6 and 7 of a series. That's asking a lot. And I don't think the Yankees will be able to do it. I didn't think the Mets were going to be able to do it. And of course, they weren't. The Mets got one of these first 2 games. Then they lost 2 out of 3 at home. So I think, is tonight pivotal? I don't think it's a must-win for either team. You obviously want to get started. You want to get a good start to the series. If you're the Yankees, you'd love to steal game 1. And you'd love to have Cole go deep 7 innings into this game. But you don't know what Cole you're going to get, right? He has the potential to pitch 7-8 innings and be, unhittable. But so does Flaherty. But he also has the potential to not be great. In that first start in the against Cleveland, he couldn't even get through the 5th inning. Then in his next start, he pitched great. So it could go either way, and the same goes for the Dodgers. Flaherty, he was great in game 1 against the Mets, unhittable. A shutout. They shut out the Mets. Then in game 5, and I was at game 5, they killed Flaherty. He was off. They touched him up for 8 runs. I think Roberts kind of left him in the game to take one on the chin for the team because he wanted to save his bullpen going back to game 6 in LA. But you could get either or. Jekyll and Hyde for both of these starting pitchers. Obviously, Cole is a more accomplished pitcher. He's pitched in a World Series before. But Flaherty, if Flaherty is on top of his game, he's tough to hit. So we'll see how that goes. That's going to be an interesting storyline. And then, of course, the Yankees against the Dodgers bullpen. And it's not going to be easy. The Dodgers have one of the better bullpens, but the Indians had a fantastic bullpen, and the Yankees got to them. So it's not like they can't get to a bullpen, and they certainly can. I don't think tonight's a must-win for either team. Like I said, I think for the Yankees, though, I think you have to win one of these 2 games. If you want to win this series, you don't want to go back having to win 3 in a row in your building Not to say that they can't. They can, but this Dodger lineup and the Yankee fans that are walking around, ultra confident, I don't see it. I mean, the Yankees have a fantastic lineup. It is not as good as the Dodgers. The Dodgers are relentless, one after another after another. The lineup never lets up, and every hitter is tough. And of course, you have Babe Ruth basically leading off because Ohtani is better than Judge. He's a better hitter. He's a better player, I think, than Judge. Judge has struggled a bit in the playoffs historically. He hasn't had too many chances, but even this year, it took him a while to get going. Now, which star is gonna put their stamp on this series, and who's gonna be the MVP, and is it Judge's legacy on the line here? I think Judge has more on the line as far as legacy goes than Ohtani does. Ohtani's basically already been crowned, best baseball player in history by a good number of the people who have seen him, people who kind of trade and that kind of stuff, who talk about that stuff for a living. He's been crowned by a lot of people. We've had a couple people on this show come on and say that they believe that he, including Tim Brown, and say that he is the best baseball player in history. I don't know if I'm ready to say that, but I think he could absolutely take over the series. He's not going to hit 130, but there is a possibility that Judge can. Now, Judge's leg, I think Judge has more on the line because the Yankees and Yankee fans, and they put the pressure on themselves with the way they act and the way they talk about it's World Series or bust. It's nothing if we don't win the World Series. If Judge comes up small in this series, let's say he hits a $130, he doesn't drive in any runs, or he drives in 2 runs and the Yankees lose in 5 or 6. It's going to take a tough time for Judge to live that down. Whether it's fair or not, you can argue that either way. But it's not going to be easy. He's not going to be able to live it down until he gets another chance and until he does it in the biggest stage, which is the World Series. And that's just the way it is when you're the captain of the Yankees. Judge is a better hitter than, it's not always the best player. Jeter was not the best player, right? Jeter wasn't the best player. Probably on those teams, he wasn't the best player. But he was the winner. And when he won, and that's what he's known as, a winner. It goes that way with just when you're a great player, that's the burden that comes with that. When you're captain of the Yankees, when you're a quarterback in the NFL, I, to this day, will argue with anybody that Peyton Manning is a better quarterback than Tom Brady. Sunday to Sunday, Peyton Manning's the best quarterback I've ever seen. Hands down. And Mahomes might be second, not to get into a whole football thing here in the World Series, but that's just how I think he's a better, more talented player. Tom Brady's the winner, though. He's got all the Super Bowls. It's like Jeter. So does Judge's legacy hang in the balance? Partially. I think absolutely partially. It absolutely does hang in the balance. Now, this series it's been billed as, the great World Series, the one everybody wanted. It's certainly the one that baseball wanted. And it's certainly the one that Fox wanted because they're going to get huge ratings. Because whether you love these two teams, you're a fan of one of these two teams, or you hate these two teams, you have to watch it. It's a must watch. And a lot of times the World Series, like I know here in New York, we wanted to get, Mets, Yankees, and a Subway Series. Baseball, that was the last thing they wanted. Because we've had it. And in 2000, the ratings were terrible. The rest of the country didn't care. So they got what they wanted. They got the 2 biggest markets. They're going to have huge TV ratings. Huge ratings. And I think it's going to be a long series. You got the biggest stars in the game. Soto, Judge, Mookie Betts, Ohtani. It just really, is it going to live up to all that hype, though? I don't know. I think for it to live up to the hype that it's been given, it's got to go 7 games. It's got to be like something like, on the level of that 2001 World Series with Arizona and the Yankees, where it gets 7 games, last inning. It's won on a walk-off. I think to live up to the hype that this series has had and that has been building over the last 5 days or 4 days, it feels like forever since we've had a baseball game, to be honest with you. 4 days is a long break. But to live up to the hype, it needs to go 7 games. And I don't think it's going 7 games. When I was thinking about, who I wanted to pick and who I thought would win, and I wanted to make an educated pick. I didn't want to, say I hate the Yankees. I'm picking the Dodgers in 4 or whatever. I want to say Dodgers in 5. And I know it sounds crazy I just think the Dodgers lineup is too good. I'm in between Dodgers in 5 and Dodgers in 6, and I'm gonna stick with I'm gonna go with Dodgers in 6. And as far as the MVP goes, I'm gonna go with Muncy as the MVP because you got to go off track a little bit, right? If anybody can pick Ohtani or Judge or Soto. Recently the MVPs have been of the World Series have not been the marquee name. It's been somebody who is, kind of, off Broadway type of name kind of guy, someone you don't see, someone you don't think would be the MVP. So I'm going to go Dodgers in 6. Muncy is the MVP. So game 1, what do we got? About 20 minutes away. You got Flaherty going against Cole. And listen, this is it. This is what they paid Cole $300 million for, to make this start tonight. And we'll see how he does. A lot of pressure on both of these teams. The managers, a lot of pressure. I think there's more pressure probably on Boone than there is on Roberts, just because the Yankee fans love to run Boone and Cashman out of town. They will try and run them out of town if they lose this series. They'll find a way, because they always do. It's always Cashman's fault or Boone's fault every year, whether they make the playoffs or not. They find a way to want to run them out of town. So, it's game tonight, game tomorrow. Then they have an off day. Then the 3 at Yankee Stadium, followed by another off day, and then 6 and 7. If it gets that far. And listen, they just sit back and enjoy it. It's going to be a great series. If you don't have a horse in the race, I don't have a horse in the race. I know all my friends, most of my friends are Yankee fans. They seemed very confident. Some of them that I spoke to seemed ultra confident. Like, no way we could lose. The Dodgers aren't as good as we think they are. And some of them seem worried. It's kind of one or the other. It's not like and I think that the home field being in LA for games 1 and 2, the Yankees have to steal one of these 2 games. They can't come out and go back home down 0-2, because then I don't know. I think you have to win 3 in a row. You can't come back to Dodger Stadium having to win games 6 and 7 of a World Series with this lineup and this team and expect that you're going to do it. Is it impossible? It's not impossible. Nothing in this series is going to be impossible. It's going to be a slugfest from the very first pitch. You're going to see scores that are like 12-8, I think, in games. I don't think you're going to see a 2-1 or a 3-1 pitcher's duel, because I just don't think the pitching can withstand that type of game against these hitters. And I just think that the Dodgers lineup is a little bit deeper than the Yankees. I think, Glaber has had his issues. Judge has slumped a little bit. Soto has been good. And he's coming off a hero home run, which sent the Yankees to the World Series. So he's kind of, riding a hot streak. Doesn't get any bigger than that. And Soto's been here before. Soto won a World Series. Don't forget, Soto has won a World Series with the Nats. So he's been here. Cole's been here. A lot of these Yankees, it's their first time. It's their first rodeo. The Ohtani, it's his first time. But Ohtani has played under the microscope and the spotlight of Japan. And believe it or not, he won. He ended the the World Baseball Classic, which I could care less about, and I think most of America could care less about. And it's going to seem ridiculous that I even compare the World Baseball Classic to the World Series. But in Japan, it's huge. It's huge. And he won the World Baseball Classic by striking out Mike Trout with the tying runs on base. And that's as pressurized as it gets. He's also played in big games over in Japan. You know, that's another reason why the MLB and Fox love this. Because, I mean, I don't know if they're going to be watching on Fox, but you're going to have huge ratings. It's not going to be Super Bowl type ratings, but it's going to be as close as baseball can get to a Super Bowl, you know, type of rating. And it's going to be big, and it's going to be a lot of people watching, and people can't wait for this series. And I think it's going to be a good series. I got Dodgers in 6 over the Yankees. I'm rooting for the Dodgers. I can't root for the Yankees. I can't get into the whole New York thing. Oh, it's New York. Either way. No, not for me. And if you know me, you know that it's not for me. And if you know me, you also are probably glad that I'm picking the Dodgers in 6 because I generally get things like this wrong. So, you know, sit back, relax. Game 1 of the World Series, the Fall Classic, the 120th version of the Fall Classic. This is the most common matchup that we have had out of all, is the Yankees and the Dodgers. 63 of the 120. That's more than half of the World Series have either featured the Yankees or the Dodgers or both. So let's go now. We're gonna say goodbye to you. You can sit down. You can put on Fox. They're gonna have the starting lineups, the player introductions, national anthem, a tribute to Fernando Valenzuela. And if you don't know about Fernando Valenzuela, do yourself a favor and look up what he did in 1981 and in his first 8 games. Because if you thought DeGrom was dominant in that stint that he had, Fernando Valenzuela pitched 8 complete games. I believe 6 were shutouts. He got up 3 total runs. He was unhittable. Best you've ever seen for a short span. He had a long career. He was a great Dodger. He passed away earlier this week. So they're going to do a tribute to him. Fox is doing a tribute to Vin Scully. So enjoy the game, everybody. Game 1 of the World Series, Yankees and Dodgers. It's next. It's on Fox, and it's yours. Enjoy it, everybody. We'll talk to you after the game. We'll come on. We'll probably do on Twitter Spaces or one of these things. We'll do live, and we'll try and involve you guys if anybody wants to call in or talk or whatever you want to do. So we'll talk to you after the game. Yankees Dodgers Game 1. Enjoy it, everybody. Thanks for listening. Don't forget you could catch us anywhere you get your podcasts. Also lockedupsports.net for our website, and we're also on YouTube. So we'll talk to you after the game, everybody. Enjoy it. I'm Bob Walters from the Brian Gunzel Studio. See ya.